September 15, 1944. 08:32 hours. The turquoise waters of Peleliu's southwest shore churn with the roar of engines and the acrid tang of diesel fumes. Amphibious tractors, LVTs, those lumbering beasts of steel and track, plow through the swells, their bows slicing toward the coral reef like knives through flesh. Inside one, crammed shoulder to shoulder with sweat-soaked leathernecks of the 1st Marine Regiment, Private Eugene Sledge grips his M1 Garand, heart pounding against his flak jacket. The air vibrates with the thunder of naval guns from battleships like the USS Mississippi, pounding the island in a symphony of destruction. Smoke billows from the jungle fringe, obscuring the palm trees that sway like ghosts in the haze. You can almost taste the salt spray mixed with gunpowder, feel the heat rising from the metal deck as the sun climbs higher. The Marines had been told this would be quick, a rough but fast operation, as Major General William H. Rupertus, commander of the 1st Marine Division, put it. 3 days, maybe 4, to seize the airfield and mop up. After all, the pre-invasion bombardment had been massive. Over 600 tons of bombs from B-24 Liberators, 3 days of naval shelling from an armada of 800 ships, including carriers launching strafing runs. Intelligence reports painted Peleliu as a pushover. Its Japanese garrison of the 14th Infantry Division under Lieutenant Colonel Colonel Nakagawa, softened by prior defeats. Colonel Lewis Chesty Puller, the grizzled legend leading the 1st Marines, barked encouragement from his command post aboard ship. "Hit 'em hard, boys. We'll be drinking beer on the beach by sundown." But as the LVTs crest the reef, grinding over coral that scrapes like fingernails on chalk, the illusion shatters. Japanese artillery erupts from hidden positions, 75mm guns, mortars, and the chatter of Type 99 machine guns. Shells whistle overhead, exploding in geysers of water and shrapnel. One LVT takes a direct hit, flipping sideways in a bloom of fire, bodies tumbling into the surf. "Incoming," someone yells, but it's drowned out by the screams. The beaches, white 1 and 2 for Puller's 1st Marines, orange 1, 2, and 3 for the 5th and 7th, turn into kill zones. Mines detonate under tracks, flinging men skyward. Crossfire from pillboxes and blockhouses rakes the sand, bullets pinging off armor like hail on a tin roof. K Company, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines hits White Beach 1 hardest. Led by Captain Andrew Akak Haldane, they scramble out of their tractors into chest-deep water, wading through the crimson foam under a hail of lead. The coral cuts their boots, salt stings open wounds. "Move, move," sergeants shout, but the advance stalls as men drop, clutching guts or limbs. By H+60 minutes, all 5 initial battalions are ashore, but the cost is already mounting. Over 200 dead, 900 wounded in the first hours. The heat is merciless, 115 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity that soaks uniforms through. Water in the 5-gallon cans tastes of petroleum residue from reused oil drums, forcing Marines to choke down salt tablets to stave off dehydration. Puller's 1st Marines push left toward the Point, a coral promontory jutting like a dagger into the sea. It's honeycombed with caves, but no one knows that yet. Company K assaults a massive casement housing a 47mm anti-tank gun, storming it in a frenzy of grenades and bayonets. They hold it for 30 grueling hours, repelling counterattacks with hand-to-hand fury, knives flashing, fists pounding, the air thick with the coppery scent of blood and the guttural yells of dying men. Meanwhile, the 5th Marines under Colonel Harold D. Harris surge toward the airfield, dodging anti-tank ditches and coconut groves that provide scant cover. At 1650 hours, Nakagawa launches his first major counterattack. 13 to 19 Type 97 tankettes rumbling across the airfield, supported by infantry. Marine bazookas crackle, Shermans roar back, turning the assault into a scrapyard of flaming wrecks. By nightfall, the beachhead is secure, but barely. A fragile perimeter where Marines dig shallow holes in the coral rubble, sharing cigarettes in the flickering light of flares. Infiltrators slip through, disguised in stolen helmets, whispering in the dark before striking with knives. The airfield falls within a week, Stinson OY-1 Sentinels spotting for artillery, but the southern promontories still bristled with resistance. The 7th Marines, under Colonel Herman H. Hannikin, mop up blockhouses with demolitions, flames licking from flamethrowers as they seal caves, or so they think. Yet as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows over the ridges of Umurbrogol Mountain, soon to be christened Bloody Nose Ridge, a low rumble echoes from the heights. Hidden eyes watch from the labyrinth below. The quick victory? It's evaporating. And deep in those jagged peaks, something unimaginable waits. September 17, 1944, 0510 hours. Umurbrogol Pocket, northern Peleliu. A blood-orange dawn bleeds across the jagged limestone spine that the Marines now call Bloody Nose Ridge. The air is already furnace-hot, thick with the stench of cordite, rotting coral, and unburied bodies. From the 1st Marines forward line, Private Robert Leckie peers through the haze at a wall of rock pocked with black holes. Caves, hundreds of them, carved by centuries of erosion and months of Japanese engineering. You can almost feel the island breathing, exhaling death. Colonel Puller's orders are blunt. Take the high ground, clear the ridge. The 1st Battalion, 1st Marines, Captain Haldane's K Company in the van, moves out at 0700, threading single file up goat trails slick with dew and blood. Their objective, Hill 100, the first of a dozen peaks laced together by tunnels. Each man carries 80 rounds, 2 canteens, and a gnawing dread. Behind them, the airfield smolders. Ahead, the mountain swallows light. The first cave mouth yawns at 0815. A Type 99 light machine gun chatters from inside, muzzle flashes strobing like lightning in a tomb. Bullets ricochet off coral, shredding canteen covers and flesh alike. Corporal Walter Rusty Russell hefts a flamethrower, M1A1, 35 pounds of napalm and terror, and crawls forward on his belly. The pilot light sputters. One squeeze, and a 30-foot tongue of liquid fire roars into the darkness. Screams echo, high-pitched, inhuman, then silence. Russell edges closer. A Japanese soldier staggers out, skin blistering, eyes melted. Russell's BAR man finishes him with a burst. No one cheers. By noon, they realize the truth. The caves are not bunkers. They are a city, reinforced with steel doors, ventilation shafts, and interlocking fields of fire. The Umurbrogol complex houses Nakagawa's 2nd Infantry Regiment. 5,000 men, 500 caves, and 50 artillery pieces. Tunnels run 20, 30, 50 feet deep, some connecting ridges a mile apart. Inside, soldiers sleep in shifts, eat rice balls laced with salt, and wait. They have water cisterns, ammunition dumps, even a field hospital. The Marines have 3 days of rations and a promise of quick victory. Haldane's company claws to the crest of Hill 100 by 1600, only to discover the reverse slope is honeycombed. A hidden 75mm mountain gun fires point blank. Shells tear through the line. Shrapnel whistles like hornets. Private First Class John Basilone, already a Medal of Honor winner from Guadalcanal, grabs a demolished M1919 machine gun, jams a new belt in, and lays down fire until the barrel glows cherry red. "Keep moving," he roars, voice raw. The ridge is taken at dusk, but the cost is obscene. 18 dead, 43 wounded in K Company alone. Night falls, like a guillotine. Japanese infiltrators, sappers on Marine helmets, crawl through the lines, slitting throats with bayonets. Flares pop overhead, casting grotesque shadows. Every rustle is a grenade. Sleep is impossible. At 0200, Nakagawa launches a banzai charge from the tunnels beneath Hill 100. Hundreds pour out,
screaming, drunk on sake and fatalism. The Marines meet them with shotguns, Tommy guns, and fists. The fight lasts 40 minutes. When dawn comes, the slope is carpeted with bodies. Japanese in heaps, Marines in ones and twos. The ridge is held. Barely. Puller radios division. We need flamethrower tanks, demolitions, water, everything. Rupertus's reply is curt. Hold what you have. Reinforcements en route. But the 7th Marines are bogged down south, and the 5th is stretched thin securing the airfield. The 1st Marines are alone, bleeding, and just beginning to understand the scale of the nightmare. And from the deepest tunnel, a low rumble, like distant thunder, rolls through the rock. Something is moving. Something big.
September 22, 1944. 0930 hours. Horseshoe Valley, heart of the Umurbrogol Pocket. The sun is a white-hot coin nailed to the sky, turning the coral dust into powdered glass that grinds into every cut and crevice. From the lip of a shell crater, Corporal Mariel Snafu Shelton squints through the shimmer at a cave mouth 40 yards downslope, Cave 105B, the Marines will later label it. Inside, a Japanese 81mm mortar crew works with mechanical precision, lobbing rounds that arc high and drop like judgment. Each explosion sends razor-sharp coral fragments scything through the air. You can taste the iron and the blood mist that hangs over the ridge. The 1st Marines have been at it for a week now, and the ridge is a butcher's yard. Chesty Puller's battalion is down to 40% strength. K Company, once 235 strong, numbers 78 effectives. Water is rationed to half a canteen a day, warm, metallic, tasting of the oil drums it came in. Salt tablets dissolve on tongues swollen from dehydration. Flies swarm in black clouds, feasting on the dead who bake in the open because no one has the strength to bury them. The stench is a living thing, crawling into lungs and memories. But the caves refuse to die. Every time a position is cleared, it breathes again at night. Japanese soldiers emerge from side tunnels the Marines never knew existed, dragging Type 99s or satchel charges. Yesterday, Private First Class Romus Bergen watched a flamethrower team seal a cave with 200 gallons of napalm mix, only for the mountain to vomit fire back an hour later from a vent 50 yards away. The tunnel system is a hydra. Cut one head, 2 grow back. Today, the brass finally listens. At 1,000, the first M4A2 Sherman, equipped with the Mark I flamethrower, nicknamed Zippo tanks, rumbles up the reverse slope, escorted by a rifle squad from L Company 3/1. The commander, Staff Sergeant James Jep Carroll, pops the hatch and shouts coordinates. The tank's bow nozzle belches a 50-foot stream of jellied gasoline into Cave 105B. The roar is primal, a dragon's breath that sucks oxygen from the air. Screams rise, then cut off as the napalm finds flesh. Black smoke billows, thick with the sweet, sick smell of burning pork. For 30 seconds, the Marines dare to hope. Then, the mountain answers. From a concealed aperture higher up, Cave 105C, linked by a 60-foot tunnel, a 47mm anti-tank gun fires twice. The first round glances off the Sherman's turret. The second punches through the hull. Fuel ignites. Carroll and his crew bail out, uniforms ablaze. Marines drag them behind coral boulders, beating out flames with bare hands. The Zippo tank burns like a torch, ammunition cooking off in rapid pops. The cave laughs. Silent, but the Marines hear it. Puller arrives at 11:30, face caked with dust and fury. He surveys the carnage. 8 dead from the tank crew and escort, another dozen wounded. "We do it the hard way," he growls. Demolition teams move forward. Satchel charges, Bangalore torpedoes, TNT crates lashed together with detonator cord.
Sergeant Mike the Bull Kuklok leads a four-man team into the smoke of 105B. They crawl over charred bodies, boots crunching on bone. At the tunnel bend, a Japanese officer lunges with a katana. Kuklok parries with his carbine, the blade ringing like a bell. A shotgun blast ends it. They plant 40 pounds of explosives, spool out fuse, and sprint. The detonation collapses the entrance in a thunderclap that rains coral like shrapnel. Dust settles. Silence. But not for long. At 1400, Nakagawa commits his reserve. The 15th Infantry Regiment's 3rd Battalion, 600 men, emerges from the central tunnel network in a coordinated counterattack. They hit the 1st Marines' left flank at Five Brothers, a cluster of limestone knobs. Hand-to-hand again. Bayonets, entrenching tools, teeth. Private Sledge fires his Garand until the barrel warps, then swings it like a club. A Japanese soldier drives a bayonet through his best friend's throat inches away. Sledge screams, a sound with no words, and empties a clip into his man's chest. By dusk, the line holds, but the cost is apocalyptic. K Company is combat ineffective, fewer than 30 men able to fight. Puller requests relief. Rupertus refuses. The 1st Marines do not retreat. The ridge is a charnel house of coral and flesh. And deep below, in tunnels lit by flickering oil lamps, Nakagawa studies a map, fingers tracing the last redoubt. He knows the Americans will come again. He has prepared a final surprise, one that will turn the entire pocket into a furnace. Night falls. The Marines huddle in their holes, sharing the last cigarettes, whispering names of girls back home. Somewhere in the darkness, a cave mouth exhales warm, sulfurous breath. Something is being readied. Something that will make the flamethrowers seem like birthday candles.
September 28, 1944. 0345 hours. Central Tunnel Complex, Umurbrogol Pocket. Deep beneath the coral crust, oil lamps gutter in the humid dark. Lieutenant Colonel Kunio Nakagawa stands over a hand-drawn map inked on rice paper, his shadow dancing like a specter. Around him, the 2nd Infantry Regiment's last 1,200 effectives, gaunt, eyes burning with fanaticism, load ammunition belts into Type 99s and stack 75mm shells like cordwood. The air is thick with the reek of unwashed bodies, kerosene, and the faint sweetness of cyanide capsules tucked into breast pockets. Nakagawa's voice is calm, almost gentle. We will burn the mountain itself. Let the Americans choke on their victory. Above ground, the Marines of the 5th and 7th Regiments, finally relieving Puller's shattered 1st, creep forward under a moonless sky. Colonel Bucky Harris's 5th Marines have taken over the eastern ridges. Colonel Hannikin's 7th probes the west. They move in silence, boots wrapped in burlap to muffle the crunch of coral. Each squad carries a new weapon, the M22 flamethrower, lighter, longer range, deadlier. They also bring bulldozers, D7 cats with armored cabs, to scrape paths and bury cave mouths under tons of rock. The plan is simple: seal the system, starve the defenders, end the nightmare. But Nakagawa has read Sun Tzu. At 0410, the mountain erupts. From 47 separate vents, some no wider than a manhole, Japanese sappers ignite pre-placed charges of picric acid and aviation fuel. The explosions are not meant to kill, they are meant to ventilate. Superheated gas roars upward, sucking oxygen from the tunnels and blasting it into the night sky like chimneys from hell. Then the real horror begins. The Marines' first warning is the heat. A wall of flame, 300 feet high, white at the core, bursts from the central ridge, rolling downhill like a tidal wave. It engulfs a platoon of L Company, 3-5, in seconds. Men drop rifles, claw at melting skin. The firestorm devours oxygen. Lungs collapse before flesh blackens. Screams are brief. The bulldozer crew, 50 yards away, watches in frozen disbelief as the cat's steel tracks glow red, then sag like taffy. The driver, Sergeant Al Cohen, guns the engine and rams the burning ridge, burying a vent under 20 tons of coral before the fuel tank detonates in a secondary blast. By 0430, the Pocket is in Inferno. Flamethrower teams, their own weapon now a liability, ditch tanks and sprint for cover. The heat ignites bandoliers. 30-06 rounds cook off in belts, stitching the night with tracer fire. Nakagawa's men emerge from side tunnels behind the chaos, bayonets fixed, faces wrapped in wet towels. They hit the 7th Marines command post at Five Sisters Knob. Hand to hand in the glow of burning coral. Captain Everett Pope, commanding F Company, 2-7, forms a perimeter with 11 men. They fight for 12 hours, ammunition gone, using rocks and helmets. Pope earns the Medal of Honor that dawn, the ridge littered with 120 Japanese dead around his position. By 6 o'clock, the firestorm subsides, leaving a moonscape of glassed coral and charred bone. The Marines counterattack with everything left. Zippo tanks, repaired overnight, spearhead the push with napalm until the rock itself seemed to sweat fire. Demolition squads, led by Lieutenant George Boyington's cousin, oddly enough, on temporary duty, worm into the main artery, Tunnel Alpha 1, 180 feet long, 12 feet wide. They drag 600 pounds of TNT on sleds, past Japanese wounded who begged for water in broken English. The charge is set at the tunnel's heart, where it branches into the hospital chamber. The blast collapses 400 yards of corridor, entombing 300 defenders and the regimental aid station in a single thunderclap. By October 3rd, the Pocket is a tomb. Nakagawa's last radio message, transmitted in code: Sakura, Sakura. Cherry blossoms fall. Then static. His body is found days later in the command cave, seated seppuku style, katana across his knees. The final cave, Cave 144, the throne room, is sealed with 1,000 pounds of dynamite on October 12th. The detonation registers on seismographs in Hawaii. The Marines count the cost. 1st Marine Division, 1,749 killed, 5,114 wounded, many evacuated with Peleliu pneumonia, lungs scorched by heat and coral dust. Japanese, 10,609 dead, 202 captured, most too wounded to resist. The airfield, secured in 72 hours, is now a staging base for the Philippines. But no one celebrates. The men of the first ship out on October 15th, gaunt ghosts in sweat-stained dungarees. Eugene's sledge stares at the island until it shrinks to a smudge on the horizon, then writes in his diary, "We came for 3 days. We stayed 30. We left something there we'll never get back." And in the silence that follows, the coral ridges stand blackened and broken, whispering a warning to every island yet to come. Iwo Jima, Okinawa. The Pacific War has entered its final, cruelest phase.